What up, my ninjas? I'm Don LaForêt, and welcome to my review of End Times. Now, this episode certainly spelled the end of this arc, but it didn't quite end on the doom that it insinuated. I'm relieved for the happy ending, though. It seemed unlikely given the stakes and the losses the turtles have racked up. We as well finally have an answer to the Tiger Claw's creepy cult, plus Cavaxis and the Shredder have been dealt with neatly. However, this episode showed a downside to the season's anthology format: odd pacing. As Dan Spitalier said in his blog, things got very dark real quick, with Zombie Shredder and the Undead Apocalypse. I think this episode's plot could have been naturally stretched for one more episode. Imagine that extra time displaying the Shredder and Cavaxis' dynamic as they built their empire. There would have been more development with their concerned underlings, especially, say, Zevver. Why would he leave? It actually felt like Deus Ex Machina to save the turtles and explain the mutants. That said, there are still many cool elements to this episode, like pleasant action scenes and very enjoyable references. Again, though, what did space heroes have to do with anything? Did it foretell Cavaxis' destruction? That seems a little far-fetched. I don't know, you help me out in the comments below.
I felt the same way many times in life, my son, but we always endure.
Given the swift plot progression, there wasn't much time for characters to shine, but we at least got some cool moments from everybody. Let's start off with Casey. He was his usual action-loving self, but instead of getting in the way, he kept to himself, for the most part. Now, his kind of partner in crime, several question marks there. April's powers sadly weren't all that important in this episode, despite the impression they left on Cavaxis. Because of his focus on her, I thought she would take him down when it was Mikey instead. Still, April is the most intuitive person on the team, and it showed in her worry for Leo. The other feminine character in this group, Karai, I was actually glad she was part of the Foot Clan takedown. It's appropriate, especially given her history with them. I admit that she felt shoehorned in with her sudden appearance instead of including her in their plans, but I appreciate that she didn't really listen to Leo when it went against her own values and independence. Now let's move on to the turtles, right? Raph sadly got the least amount of time out of the four turtles. He didn't even really shine in action, which was a little disappointing. He at least had his inspirational line showcasing his passionate warrior within. Donatello, as usual, was the star of the show with his equipment, especially the Ghostbuster-esque weapons. They were awesome! Now, Mikey shined in the most surprising ways. As I said, I wasn't expecting him to take on Cavaxis, but I'm glad that he did. But when I think about it, over past episodes, he usually was the one to steal the Seal of Ancients from Tiger Claw, so maybe it made sense that he was the one to control Cavaxis in this episode. Regardless, Mikey, similar to Donnie, gets overlooked, but this time, it's because he is not particularly reliable. So any moments where he comes through is a pleasant surprise. Finally, Leo. Yet again, he's feeling the pressure. He's even thinking about giving up, which isn't good. Thankfully, Master Splinter appeared when Leo was at his lowest point to give his son some much-needed guidance. At the end of the episode, though, Leo was surrounded by his living support system, so I hope he gets closer to letting them in. Now let's finish off our recap of the Hamato clan with Master Splinter. Once again, I question why he has to be so vague. Well, besides the plot demanding it, of course. His advice was honestly more confusing than helpful. He said to be spiritually ready and to look for the light within, which obviously meant opening a portal to the netherworld. No. Why not advise Leo to learn more about magic, or say that the answer is right beneath their feet? Especially considering that there was no pulsing light from that symbol in any previous episodes, and I've checked. That said, I appreciate any appearance from the wise mentor, especially because it seems like he will not return. I'm personally on the fence about that because, like Splinter said, he is a part of the universe and nature, which means that he is connected with his sons. That hasn't changed, so why wouldn't he reappear? Either way, I am glad that he finally appeared to his whole family, and not just Leonardo.
We do not belong here, demon.
The Foot Clan, as we know it, is dissolved. Tiger Claw's truce, Zevver returning to a simple life of theft, and Bradford dead once more means that every big player to lead the Foot Clan has stepped away from the position. Perhaps a Japanese member will take over, but there's no telling who that would be or if that would even happen in Season 5. Speaking of leaders, the Shredder rose once more, but it wasn't in the way he'd want. As Fishface said, he was all gross and disgusting. Nothing like his formidable warrior self. Perhaps that's why he willingly returned to the realm of the dead instead of taking over the world. I even heard some resentment towards Cavaxis there, perhaps for turning this once powerful villain into a zombie puppet. In all honesty, this whole process showcased how far from peaceful the Shredder is, especially compared to Master Splinter. Now let's not forget Cavaxis. He was quite the cunning villain. He had this secret plan all to himself and executed it quite well. The only flaw in his plan was that his disloyalty showed. I appreciate the dynamic nature of this character, and will certainly miss Mark Hamill in this show.
Goodbye, my family.
What did you all think of the first arc so far? I personally appreciate the depth and closure it provided regarding the Shredder, his minions, and Master Splinter. Would you agree? Do you also think that this episode moved things along a little too quickly? Please feel free to comment down below. The next arc in this season seems to be a little more lighthearted with Dracula and more magic thrown into the mix. It all kicks off with a walk down memory lane showing Splinter starting his new life as a rat, caring for 4 mutant babies. Are you excited for it? I'm highly intrigued by it all. Now let me know what you're looking forward to down in the comments, and we'll talk again for next episode. Until then, my ninjas.